Widuck here with another replay, this time on Neoplanet S. We've got, on the bottom left, spawning as the red Protoss, Ence's Elfi. And in the top right, spawning as the blue Protoss, we have Delking. So in this very conventional PvP matchup, wasn't it Elfi 4-gate? Well, Elfi is known for some strange strategies, as he's demonstrated at DreamHack earlier this year. But in all the mirror matches between Terrans, Zergs, and Protoss, PvP is definitely, at least in my opinion, the most entertaining. There's so many different sorts of strategies and unit compositions and builds that players can throw at each other. So PvP is definitely my favorite to watch. I'm not a big fan of Zerg versus Zerg, and even Terran versus Terran. It's a little bit difficult to watch, but Protoss is always much more intriguing. And while I'm saying that, they're both building a gateway basically at the exact same moment in time. Hopefully past the 3 or 4 minute mark, they're going to be diverging. They both have the assimilator up almost identically at the same moment. Elfi's going for 2 assimilators, and there's a divergence in play. Elfi is now scouting with his first probe, and he actually checked all around his natural to see if there was a proxy pylon. Delking has not scouted at all, and is putting down his cybernetics core. Elfi's probe will be the first one to make contact with the enemy opposition. Able to see everything that's going on in Delking's base. The second assimilator is being warped in. There are no units to get rid of this probe. I'm not sure if this Zealot is going to finish warping in, because it's not that effective against attacking the probe. The Zealot is going to finish. Going to be chasing that probe around, but the probe is faster. It's almost like he's taunting him, just running around his own nexus. Look at this control. Just saying, haha, you can't catch me. I mean, of course, Elfi knows right behind this there will be a stalker warping in, so he needs to skedaddle out of there. Zealot is going to be protecting the natural of Delking's base. Neither player has put down their nexus yet. They are saving the 400 resources to do so. Elfi's going to get his nexus down just a little bit ahead of Delking's. There we go. And there's the second nexus by Delking as well. So up to this point, very standard. Gateway into cybernetics core. No one is pressuring. No one's forcing the hand of either player. No proxy stargates, and that is one of the openings I like watching sometimes. Not all the time, but it does give the game a different flavor when there is a proxy stargate and you're able to pick off a whole bunch of probes. So this is looking like a very standard macroeconomic gate. 2 more gateways are being warped in. 1 more for Delking. There is a robotics facility being warped in by Elfi. And Delking instead opts for a Stargate and Forge. The hallucinated Phoenix from Elfi is going to be scouting around, finds Delking's expansion. and can see everything going on, sees the Stargate, sees the Forge. while the robotics facility is finally warped in for Elfi. He's going to put down his own Stargate, actually double Stargate. So whatever you can do, Elfi can do better. And a Void Raid will be coming in as a first air unit other than the Mothership Core for Delking. He's going to be chrono boosting it out. He's also getting +1 ground weapons behind this. And remember, Elfi does not have a forge, so he's going to be behind in the upgrade game. And upgrades are very substantial. And with the single Void Ray, it looks like... Actually, I think he canceled the Void Ray. Now he's just going... Delking's going directly into Twilight Council. He's not even constructing any more air units. This hallucinated Phoenix is going to see all the brand new gateways, the Photon Cannon and the Twilight Council. He also doesn't detect any air units other than the Mothership Core. So air superiority is immediately handed over to Elfi. Elfi already has 2 Phoenixes, and he's warping in 2 more. He'll be getting his forge behind this, while +1 weapons is almost done for Delking. So I'm not sure if Delking made the Stargate as some sort of fake out or if he just changed the strategy. Generally, when you build a structure, you're going to use it. In this case, he was constructing a Void Ray and then canceled it. And 10 minutes into the game, if you take a look at the units lost, you can see what's going on in this game. A whole lot of nothing. We got double goose eggs on the board. This probe might be putting up a proxy pylon. Delking's going to the third of Elfi. But while that's going on, Elfi's got a lot of Phoenixes. He's got 6. He's going to be scouting around in the main. Going to pick up a probe. And finally, the goose egg is broken at the 10:17 mark. He's actually going to be putting on a few more fireworks. Able to pick off 3 probes. Actually, 1 Phoenix goes down, so that's a huge loss for Elfi. That's not a very good trade. And the Templar Archives is finished warping in, and now level 2 ground weapons as well is being researched. And Elfi says, I'm going to lose a Phoenix, fine. I'm going to bring in my own Void Rays. Able to pick off a few more units with its Phoenix. His Mothership Core is dangerously low. It's going to get finished off here. Great pickoff by Elfi. Able to pick off the probe, expanding the third as well. Resources lost are definitely in Elfi's favor. And now, Delking has a huge group of Stalkers trying to protect his third. And the Phoenixes, you know, they're gonna come back in for a fly-by-night attack. They did it so many times before already, and they're not gonna stop. More Void Rays are being constructed. There's already 2. And it looks like this Templar is gonna go bye-bye. Another great pickoff by the Phoenixes. Phoenixes are really quick, reliable air units. They're really good at annoying players, but they're not so good in direct confrontations. And this is where Elfi has to be careful here. He detects the proxy pylon in the middle of the 2 gold bases. He'll pick up and destroy the Zealots. But if there is a direct confrontation, these Phoenixes are not able to do too much. And now they're getting fired on by the Stalkers of Delking. But the Phoenixes are just going to jump over the cliff and look for more stray units, reinforcements, and probes to pick off. And he's already picked off 1,150 resources worth of units. And this is very unfortunate. All 4 Phoenixes are flying over the Stalkers. 2 of them were destroyed, 1 by feedback, 1 by Stalker fire. That's going to even out very closely the resources loss. Elfi's been able to destroy 4 probes, so not a huge economic advantage. The supplies are fairly identical. Elfi has about a... Well, now it's basically identical. Only 1 supply difference. Gonna pick up another probe in the main. Gonna go for another flyby attack, but these cannons are gonna make sure this attack is immediately thwarted. But Elfi's bringing in a whole bunch of Zealots and 6 Void Rays. This is gonna be a huge engagement. Prismatic alignment is immediately used up, focusing down the Archons. The Zealots are going in, the Stalkers are gonna blink over to the left, whole bunch of time warps. The Void Rays are doing significant damage. There's 3 hallucinated Colossi. Not sure if Delking knows they are or not. Actually, he's going to walk past the Colossus, so he knows they're fake. Focusing down on those Void Rays. Half the Void Rays are destroyed, but there's not that much anti-air. There's only 2 Archons and a Sentry left. So these 2 Void Rays now are going to run away. They're not that effective against Archons. Archons are taking potshots at the Mothership Core. And now, here's a counterattack by Delking into Elfi's third, but Elfi's able to warp in a whole band of Zealots. The Zealots are able to block off the incoming attack. Archons are doing everything that they can. The Stalkers are in the back, and Delking has a much better composition. He's going to be able to have range and melee. Was able to destroy all the warped-in Zealots. The 2 Void Rays are doing what they can to pick off the Sentries and Stalkers, but there's too many Stalkers. At the same time, Delking's Archons and Zealots are still harassing the third, able to pick off a cannon. Resources lost are significantly in Delking's favor. He has about a 2,000 resources advantage over Elfi. So Elfi lost all his Void Rays, and now his Stargates are completely inactive. They're dead weight structures currently. And at the same time, Delking's putting up proxy pylons and having High Templars reinforce his band of Marauders. And now Delking's going to move into the third from the bottom position at 6 o'clock. There are very few probes here, but now there's a probe train coming in. Oh, 2 Money Storms are able to do a lot of damage to the Zealots, doing damage to his own Zealots as well. The Archons are firing on each other. The Phoenixes are flying in here, trying to pick off some units. The Stalkers and Archons are having a lot of problems, and now the Stalkers being lifted off by the Phoenixes, and the Archons are going to be able to destroy this. So Delking had an advantage. Now he's warping in some Zealots behind this, but the Phoenixes obviously are going to have a great time picking off these light units, doing double damage to them. Elfi's Archons ate up all the Zealots, and now Delking's proxy byline is under attack. So now the game is even, or it looks even once again. It looked like Delking had the advantage, but now the game looks about the same. Delking is trying to get his 4th up. It is warping in. This proxy pylon near the ramp is going to get taken out by the Zealots. The probe is chopped in half. I'm not sure how probe metal biodegrades so quickly. In fact, if they're picked up in the air, they just disintegrate. So that's amazing. The Archons from Delking are going to scare away these Phoenixes. These Phoenixes are so very annoying. They've been here since the beginning of the game, and they all have substantial kills. 5, 3, and 4. The Archons are going to scare away the Phoenixes again. But the Phoenix is able to see that the 4th of Delking is down. There's 2 cannons warping in. So Elfi's going to see if he can push the 3rd of Delking's at the 3 o'clock position. The cannon is doing a lot of work. Delking's got 1 Immortal in the back, firing on all the Archons and Zealots. Archons, Zealots versus Archons, Immortals, and 1 Void Ray with Prismatic Alignment. And Elfi says, I don't want any of this. Actually, 2 more Zealots charge in, but that's probably just bad micro. And Delking is able to spread the resources loss advantage again into his terms. He's got about 2,000 resources advantage over Elfi. And you have to remember, he also has his 4th, and he is transferring a whole bunch of workers from his main, as his main is almost mined out, just like Elfi's. But in Elfi's case, he's got nowhere to go. He doesn't have a 4th. There's a proxy pylon at Elfi's 4th. It's going to be very difficult for Elfi to claim a 4th without Delking knowing. So Elfi's going to have to push in here. He does have a supply deficit of 12 currently. His Phoenixes are rushing in there first, going to pick up some units. Storms go down, able to do a lot of damage to Elfi's Zealots. The Zealots are still marching in. The Archons are doing lots of splash damage to the Zealots, but Elfi has a favorable engagement, was able to get the supplies to even, and now more of Elfi's reinforcements are coming in. Just a whole bunch of Zealots and Archons. No Stalkers in this composition. The Zealots are coming in there, chopping away. With only 2 Archons left, Delking has a lot of problems here. These Archons are also very low on shields. That cannon is doing a lot of work. This cannon is a hero cannon. It's got 6 kills, totally paying for itself. And Elfi's going to have to back off temporarily, just hanging out at the ramp. Unfortunately for Elfi, the longer this goes on, if Delking's just able to hold his position, Delking will probably win this game because he does have the fourth. Elfi has to not just apply pressure, but he has to actually do significant economic damage. Or, while this is going on, he has to find his own fourth. But it doesn't look like he's got any probes coming out to do anything like that. The Phoenixes are scouting around, trying to see if there's a weak point to engage his army. But unfortunately with this ramp is kind of small. Elfi might not be able to get a very good concave on that force. At least the Phoenixes are able to take out a lone Void Ray hanging out near the natural of Delking. But like I said, Elfi needs to do something. He's just hanging out at the ramp. But Delking has the same supplies and 1,000 more minerals. And here's a confrontation. The concave's not great. There goes the storm. Down on the zealots. The zealots are getting eaten up. They're all destroyed. And look at all these 5 zealots behind all the archons, not able to do anything. The stalkers are just taking free shots on the archons and zealots. And now finally, the zealots are able to rush in there, chopping down on those zealots. They're able to blink away. Now it's an archon fight, but there's 4 or 5 stalkers in the back, and they're able to do additional damage. Archons are now going to have to retreat. They're low on energy. 5 more zealots are going to warp in. 4 Elfi. He's doing everything that he can. He's spawning in 4 more zealots from this proxy pylon. But unfortunately, Delking still has a huge advantage. And now, Elfi G's, I think he means GG. Or maybe with one single G, he just means it was a game. And it was a game. Delking was able to hold off Elfi. Built his fourth. And all Delking had to do was hold his third, which he did. Unfortunately, this ramp in Neo Station, Neo Planet, unfortunately, this ramp, if you are going to engage on this ramp, you have to be very careful as there's not a lot of room here. Neither player had force fields. If Elfi, for example, had some force fields, was able to put some force fields down here, might have made the engagement much more favorable for him. But neither player had sentries. And unfortunately, this ramp doesn't have a lot of space, and Elfi was caught out of position. He did have the upgrades, but was behind by 2 armor upgrades. They both had 3 attack, and so fortunately, Elfi wasn't able to win. So good game by Delking, and I'll see you guys next time.